How is everyone doing today? Are we good? Yes, okay. So, I'm Nick Hall, I'm the founder of the Digital Tourism Think Tank, and today we've had a very packed and exciting day that started at 8 a.m, and for those of us traveling, I think it might have started at 5 a.m. And we have held a destination challenge here for the first time at World Travel Market. And we had a set of teams that were really battling it out to win this £3,000 prize, which will help them to develop their ideas further. And they're also going to have the chance to go to Paris, where they can work with Welcome City Lab, which is an incubator that's going to help them see how they can develop these concepts further. So what was the challenge we set for people? Well, we asked them, how can we overcome the problem of overcrowding in tourism and spread the value of tourism wider? This was the challenge that's been set to them. It's a challenge that many destinations are starting to think about and have been facing. Host destinations, Amsterdam and Paris, who have been supporters of this challenge, have been working on this for some time and have quite well-defined and developed strategies to tackle this issue. How do they improve the flow of visitors, and how do they ensure that those tourism hotspots are actually great experiences and not overcrowded bad experiences? So we had some insights shared this morning. We have here our judging panel, and I'll be joining the judging panel. So we have Alice and Sophie from Paris Tourism and Nico from Amsterdam Tourism. They've been helping the teams out all day develop their ideas further, and they've been great mentors, but also very inspirational, telling us what the situation is like in these two cities that have different issues related to this topic. And they will be judging and scoring the pitches that we hear today. So they're sat here at the front. I didn't give them red buzzers, so none of the pitches will be buzzed off stage. So that's good. Next year we'll do it more X Factor style, and we'll get really nasty. But this time we're going to be really nice, and everyone gets a score. They've been asked to judge them on their strength, viability, approach, and longevity of their concepts. But of course, ultimately they're being judged on their final pitches, and we want to see which concept is the strongest. The day looked a little bit like this. We started out by empathizing, following a design thinking structure in how we did this, understanding what the problem is, getting teams to work on the problem and work out what that means to them. Oh, I'm going too fast there. Then we started defining what the problem really meant and how we understand this problem into a more precise context. Then we started ideating, thinking about all the possibilities, all the problems and all the challenges that exist in this concept and this problem of overcrowding. And then the last part, they've spent the last 2 or 3 hours prototyping their ideas, developing really innovative concepts, and you're going to hear from them very shortly. And now they're here to pitch their ideas to you guys. So I hope you like them. This is a quick look at the boards that they've been working on. So we've put all of the ideas onto giant canvases, and just a little snippet of what's been happening at the other end of the hall. One of our team members, Rob, has been filming all day and put together this little short video without music, so I could talk over it. This is just a little look at just how passionately the different teams have been working on these ideas, thinking about how to solve this problem of over-tourism, and pinning up their thoughts and their contributions really in a very creative way, exploring it in a very thorough way as well. So that's a little taster of what we've been doing all day. First destination challenge at WTM, and I'm sure it's the first of many more to come. And well, I would like to say before we hear from the teams, thank you very much for all of your time and for all of your contributions today. It's hugely appreciated, and thank you as well to our wonderful judges and destination partners who have really backed this and given their time to support this as well. We hugely appreciate that. So without any further ado, I will join the expert panel and I will start filling in the score sheet myself, and I will invite the first team to come and pitch. So let's start off with team 1. Just come to the stage, and it's going to be one of you pitching. Give them a warm welcome, thank you. And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for this wonderful day with my group with Tommy from Finland and Meli from Netherlands. We nominated this work as the alternative guide. The meaning is that spreading tourism and its benefits, and that's we will spend how. So what we were thinking about, we were first of all thinking about what the tourist authority can do, not the policy, but the tourist agency who is our client. And then we were thinking about Amsterdam, but a tool that can be applied to Paris and to many other cities in Europe and not only. So we were thinking about a platform, a digital platform, and a website which includes a heat map of the overcrowded areas and the attraction, and kind of a heat map that is based on the information coming from the card, the already existent card in Amsterdam city, that can be developed into an app for the near future. And this website that can be easily downloaded by the people owning the card on their mobile will give alternative routes to follow recommended by locals. So in this way, locals can be the alternative guides of the people in the city. So the phase one of the project is to creating the technological infrastructures to give the the heat map where we can understand where there are the red sign on. I mean, it means that there is a long queue, and so it is much more easier to trace other alternative routes to go somewhere else. What means that locals may add their favorite places, for example, a barber shop, a restaurant, a bar, places where the local people go and where the local business can benefit from tourism, going away from the overcrowded area and go somewhere else. So here is a kind of, showing up of the map. My name is Peter, and these are my favorite places. So we would like to involve the local people to give alternative routes. The phase three, we are thinking how a tourist can benefit and how the local business can benefit from a tool like that. So we think of an awarding system. So tourists go to an alternative route because they gain points using other services and going outside the overcrowded services. And for example, at the end of the experience, going to a local business like that, or restaurant, or the bar, local bar, a tourist can gain points, and this point can give him the possibility, or her the possibility, to have a top experience with a special service, for example, without queuing up at the Rijksmuseum. So, as we know, I mean, one of the first things tourists want to do at 11 in the morning, the first day in Amsterdam, is going up at the Van Gogh Museum. Okay, in this case, you can go after a couple of days, maybe, and if you collect points, you can go without queuing up. So it's going to have the top experience, but with special service for you, because you have developed even the local economy. So we would like to spread this concept that give these benefits of involvement of local people. So local people can contribute to give to tourists a lot of tips, filling up alternative routes, give maps for discovering the territory. Spreading tourism out of the city center, which was one of the most important topics, and supporting local businesses out of the city center as well. In this case, we need to create the right criteria in order to involve those kind of businesses that are coherent with the tourism policy of the city of Amsterdam, of the government as well. Decrease the pressure on local residents, especially in the inner part of the city. stimulate even a longer stay in the areas, and offer alternative routes and more authentic experience if possible. And we think that our solution generates a huge amount of data because we collect all this data through the cars and in the future the app, and we can understand the kind of behavior of the consumer, and if this behavior may help to develop local economy as well outside the inner center, and even stimulating something more authentic. That's all.
Thank you very much. Well, there's no time for questions, so everyone's got 7 minutes, so thank you very much. We're moving on to the second team now, which is going to present from the lectern. Yep, oh, there's the remote. So there you go. I'll give you the mic. You've got 7 minutes, starting now.
Hi, my name is Fatima Zara Sakrani. I'm the founder of Anywhere.com. Yes, that is pronounced anywhere. It's another story for another day. So Anywhere.com is the world's first destination-less travel website. Compare many flight and hotel deals in many locations with just one click. So basically changing the way people search for travel forever. So there's two favourite quotes of mine from Steve Jobs and Henry Ford, and it's all about, it's really hard, so Steve Jobs said this, it's really hard to design products by focus groups. A lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. And then Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So our solution is based on one main issue. How do people search for travel? For example, if you go on existing websites, so, for example, Expedia, lastminute.com, they've got top 10 recommendations to do in Amsterdam. People just keep going to the same places all the time and doing the same things. Right, so Anywhere.com is addressing the overcrowding solution, but we also have a main purpose. So our problem is existing websites require you to select a destination, one destination only, and do not allow you to compare locations instantly. Most tourism visitors can make their decision on these existing websites, so they keep visiting the same places and attractions. And then this is time-consuming, expensive, and you end up missing other locations. So what's the solution? The solution, a booking tool that allows you to search anywhere without the need to select a destination. You can save time, save money, and you end up traveling more. I can't go next. Oh, I can. Right, so the business model, B2C, we've got the main website, which is selling flight and hotel package deals. And then you've got B2B, we work with airlines in their own hotels in their own mobile app, and then destination marketing organization, which is applicable to today. So this is the main website, so you've got destination, leaving from, this is the only, just for context purposes, leaving from, departing on, people, nights, budget, go. Then you can compare Verona, £100, Venice, £123, Edinburgh, £120. Oh, if we spend another £50, we can go to Dubai. I don't know, but you get the concept. Oh. So today's, working with Amsterdam and Paris. This is an Amsterdam example. So right now we've got destination, you can see Netherlands, and then you've got Amsterdam, where you can compare. You've got flight and hotel deals. So you've got Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Utrecht. But let's just say if Amsterdam didn't actually compete with Rotterdam, we could actually make something specifically for Amsterdam. So you could, let's just say there are areas of Amsterdam that probably, are less visited by tourists. We could actually put those hotels up there and actually make them, you can compare them much more easily. Same thing, oh wow. Well, okay, right. And same thing with Paris as well. You can do that. You can say Paris, Toulouse, Lyon, but if you wanted something specifically for Paris, you could do the same thing. The overcrowding solution, so we're focusing on one main strategy. We were all given challenges today, so one strategy, being laser focused. Encourage people to spread within the city and beyond. So you stay somewhere else, but you still visit the main attractions. This helps promote new hotels in other locations, and this will help combine the centre and surroundings under the same identity. The cost of it, for free, and yes, it is for free, and that's because I managed to meet someone who can actually, a company that can actually create the solution for free. But the revenue, of course, will be selling deals, and then from there, if any money comes in and whatnot, that would be used for marketing. It's a priority audience, the main Instagram users, so we're focusing totally on Instagram. Millennials, small business owners, and over 40s cougars on Instagram all the time. So we're focusing on these being a lot of people using Instagram. You know, we're hitting I think 1 billion followers on there, and this is where a lot of people make their travel decisions. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so the communication. So first of all, the website will be mobile optimized, so it's anywhere.com, and then if we were working with, let's just say, Paris or Amsterdam or France or Netherlands, then we'd have that as our domain names. The Instagram influencers, this is highly, so if we just even speak to like someone with 1 million followers, we pay them an X amount or work with them. It's all about the brand as well. Anywhere is, you know, it's going to be quite easy to use, it's going to be quite, I would say, much more simple to use as well. So we've got it from there, and then also in terms of communication, you've got physical spaces that are becoming in use. Obviously, as online channels are becoming more unpopular, it's actually the physical places that become less popular. So we're thinking of some crazy new ideas of where we can actually introduce competitions and a travel every month campaign. As I used to work for Google, and the reason why I left Google, I gave up my day job, to focus on just creating this website was because I traveled to 15 countries in 18 months and realized there was a better way of traveling. So the current progress, tiny MVP, 80 out of 200 people used it, 10 people booked, I've got 800 email sign-ups. The travel company that will create it for free signed up with them. And last week just was one of the competition winners in Rome for IATA. Sign up at anywhere.com to be notified when we launch our main website. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and FYI, the screen is meant to be black, so it did look very black and sleek until the screen made it purple, so apologies for that. Right, we have Team 3 up next. Team 3, do you want to come to the stage? One of you pitching? Okay, let's give a warm welcome to Team 3.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Marty Lewis. I'm from America, and we are Team Orange. It is Gonan and Ruth from Israel. So, just a destination challenge. Talking about over-tourism. Can you click? All right, so if people don't know, just to give you a little breakdown, the travel and tourism industry is a $7.6 trillion industry, okay? So with those numbers constantly going up, that means that more people are traveling, and that means that over-tourism is becoming more and more of a problem. And what we're not realizing is that it's causing more harm to these destinations than it is, even though it's bringing in more money. One statistic that I actually learned from this is that out of every $100, only $5 actually goes back into that place that you're actually visiting. So it's really taking out more money and not really doing as much as we think it is. Next slide, please. All right, so the opportunity. The problems destinations face today is overcrowding and the threat it causes. Tourists are coming large in numbers to popular destinations due to the factors such as low airfares, social media, and the overall idea of wanderlust. Withdrawing more than they deposit, tourists' lack of knowledge, lack of preparation, and traveling patterns are causing harms to beautiful destinations and driving the heart of the destinations out, which is the locals. So one thing that we're noticing is that with over-tourism is coming the fact that people want to move away from their homes, and we need to realize as tourists that Our holiday is somebody's home, and we should respect it just like we respect our own home. So when people are coming in and they're pushing that away, it also drives out the culture of that city. How do you visit a place and there's no culture there if there's no people who are natives there? It also drives away the lack of expertise, which we just learned from somebody who works in sustainable travel and tourism. But she was saying that, okay, if you go to a certain destination that is known for lace, and those people are moving out, then they're getting that lace to be made in China. So you're coming to buy that specific lace to that region, but you're getting lace that's made in China, so there's no longer expertise there. And then once those people, unfortunately, will die out, there's nobody to pass on anything that they know. So this is becoming an issue. Next slide, please. So the solutions. So we tried to develop our solutions based off of these main issues: awareness, transportation, niches, and diversity. So as far as awareness, that top picture is actually a ski resort in Greece. So a lot of people don't know that you can ski in Greece, but they have over 16 ski resorts. So that's important. It comes down to awareness. Where are you pushing your marketing? Where are people seeing these things happen? How can people know maybe you shouldn't go to Athens and Santorini? Maybe you should visit those 16 ski resorts that are actually in Greece. So let's try to funnel things out to destinations that aren't widely visited. Transportation. So my partners actually have a winery, and it's about 3 hours away from Israel. So one of the issues was that when people come to Israel, they might not have the awareness of that, but they also couldn't get people there because there's no transportation. There's no trains that go there, there's no buses, it takes 3 hours, so it's not easy for them to gain their revenue because there's no way for people to go there. So transportation is also an issue. Travel niches, there are so many travel niches out here that certain tourism boards and travel brands can directly make sure that they market to, that has a lot of revenue, that they will spend money with you. So like one, solo travel, which is a big one. Another one, adventure travel, which is a big one. So now if you do these separate campaigns throughout the 12 months and you cater them to those travel niches, you can get those specific people who are already interested in those things like skiing to go to those certain destinations. The last one is diversity. Y'all already heard me earlier today. I stressed the importance of diversity in travel. I stressed the importance of people who look like me, people who look like other black and brown travelers, and travel advertisements and promotions. I'm from America, so I can tell you American stats. $50 billion is what African Americans spend on travel a year, $53 billion is what Mexican Americans spend, and $63 billion is what LGBTQ Americans spend on travel a year. So if you're not tapping into those markets, you're not getting our dollars. And I can tell you now, if we don't see ourselves if we don't see ourselves there, we're not gonna go. Studies show that over 70% of people in these actual communities or in these actual niches, that they are more likely to travel in places where they see themselves reflected. Next slide, please. So, priority audience. With millennial, multicultural, business, and culinary travel on the rise, there's an opportunity to change the narrative and tackling these issues of overcrowding within the travel industry. So, just some stats for you. 50% of millennial travelers want to experience a new destination. We do bucket list things. So we have the list. We want to go here, we want to go here, we want to go here. Because of social media, a lot of places like Solomon Islands, Faroe Islands, Banff, Canada, like all those places are on there. These are places that are not widely traveled, but now because of things like social media, we're starting to see them and we want to go. 57% of business travelers prefer leisure trips. So I don't know if you guys use that term here, but it's business and leisure. So what they're seeing is that when people come to business trips like a WTM that ends on a Wednesday, they will extend their trip to the Saturday so they can actually experience London for the extra 2 days. So 57% of business travelers prefer leisure trips. So that's a real market for destinations to actually pitch to, or to say, after your trip, you should visit these areas. After your trip, you should do this. 60% of multicultural travelers extend their trips to experience the destination. So you might go in mind with maybe 5 days, but you end up making it 8 days so that you can experience more, and that's specifically for multicultural travelers. And then everybody eats, so why wouldn't you have culinary? I don't know if you guys saw, or if you guys did the session that was actually yesterday in here by the Vagabond Brothers. They were saying on social media specifically, culinary travel or pictures of food is the main thing that you're seeing right now. So why not tap into this market? We all have to eat. We all want beautiful and wonderful culinary experiences, and we all want food. So that's another big market to tap into. Next slide, please. Okay, so our approach was more about, it wasn't necessarily about certain things because we had to take into accountability longevity. So these are things that are never going away because there will be constantly new destinations that you have to add to this. So instead we wanted to propose a question, how and where you are doing your marketing, because that is the biggest way directly to consumers. So one of the ways that we said was in-flight entertainment. So let's say somebody is going to Barcelona. Barcelona is one of the people who have been successful in battling or combating over tourism, but while they're on a flight, they see that there's also a flight to a region called Andorra, where Cirque du Soleil comes in every June and July and does a Cirque du Soleil performance. So Andorra is an hour away. You can drive there or you can actually fly there, but they see that in that in-flight entertainment. So now they're adding something different to their itineraries. So we talked about alternative itineraries, even though that you say you want to do something that is so X, Y, and Z that it goes now to where you're changing it based off of things that are happening like experiential marketing. We also said things like making sure that you are with the tourists from the moment that they book to after they leave. So as soon as they book their ticket, you know how you get your ticket reference or you get your confirmation. While you get that confirmation, they also send you something and ask you, like, what are you doing when you come here? Here's a list of things that you can do. So that's the first way you get them. The second way you can get them is in-flight entertainment. And then the third way, like Amsterdam was already saying, you hit them when they're in their airports and you show them, oh, sorry, okay. Gosh, I was on a roll. You show them everything that you can do. So that was another way. And the last slide, which I really wanted to talk about, which Fatima hit on, is influencer marketing. It is so critical for people to understand the power of influencer marketing. Today, earlier, we talked about the 7 regions that hit Paris. So they said US, UK, Belgium, France, Italy. And so if you hit those regions and you do a collective influencer trip with 7 or 8 influencers from these 7 different regions, you hit 7 or 8 different people or different communities or different countries, and you can influence everybody all from one trip. So this is a case study from what I did this past June, where I took a group of influencers from all different backgrounds, lifestyles, everything, to Roatan, Honduras. For those of you who don't know, Roatan, Honduras is a small island in Honduras. Sorry, I'm getting there. Okay, I'm wrapping up. It's a small island in Honduras, but to make a long story short, I took these influencers there, and 30 days after our trip, these are our actual stats. We made sure that we got influencers that were high, we made sure that we got influencers that were low, but we made sure that we hit every single demographic. So you have comedians, you had musicians, you had sports people, so we made sure that we did it that way, and these are the results, and it shows that it works. Now, I will tell you guys this, it was $60,000, but we asked the influencers to pay for their flights, and it was a 7-day trip full of itinerary, and this is what happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much, very passionate there. So, right, we're on to team 4 now, and oh, we have the whole team come into the stage. Yeah, great, you're very welcome. The stage is yours, and the clicker is yours. Who's going first?
Thanks so much. Am I clicking the wrong way? Am I right? That should be green? Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, sure. Good afternoon, everyone. We are Mob Card, and just to start this off, so I'm lucky enough to get to travel. I travel out with my mom, who's 66, in great shape, don't get me wrong, but still when we're traveling, if we're in a destination and we don't know how to get anywhere, it is super frustrating for us. She's hard of hearing, we're trying to move around, and we think to ourselves, ugh, is there some way for us to travel more easily in this destination? To know the rules, to know the regulations, so that as guests in the country, we can really be there and enjoy it. So we feel like with mobility in a place, there's a lot of things that are lacking. We have issues with stakeholder fragmentation and a lack of communication between the different people. Today we spoke to Amsterdam, and I am Amsterdam people, and they said to us, even in our country, where we seem to actually have pretty good ways of working together, we had an issue linking all of our transportation people together. The public and private sectors working all in one. The tourists have too many choices of what to do and don't understand what's actually being offered. When I arrive in the airport, do I take a bus? Do I take a train? Do I walk to my hotel? Depends on the country. The technology that we're using is not really always that high in standard, especially in public transportation. A lot of them aren't up to date, and the truth is that that can't really be the future. Even if they are moving slower towards having a better technology base, it's going to happen eventually. So how do we help maybe push it closer to that tipping point? And lastly, the most important thing for us, mobility. There's a lack of understanding of what you can actually do there. We had this joke at our table, we were discussing how when you're trying to move around a place, you sometimes feel like you're a criminal because you don't even know how to get there without making an issue for someone who's in the car with you. So you really want to make sure you understand that. And for us, with overcrowding, not knowing how to move is part of that issue. If tourists don't know how to move around your city, they're going to cause more problems and not actually make it as easy for them to get from point A to point B. With that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Wesley, who will talk about the next phase.
So we have developed a solution which is called a mob card, and this can be an app or a card, at least a technology-based solution which helps travelers to move easily within a destination thanks to a personalized travel service. So via this service you have your mobility arranged, so you can take either public transportation within your destination, but also attractions or the places you would like to visit are serviced as well. So you get a complete package, and by this we try to address the different strategies. Like strategy 1, you try to spread visitors more around the city. That can be done by using this service. And also strategy 3 is that you offer more travel itineraries. And by using the data from this service, you are also able to enable and give people other options, and people can see what other travelers have already done, the places they have visited. So you get already a kind of tailor-made travel itinerary for where you are. And why is this mob card so interesting? So in terms of the concept validation, we already know that there are more travelers every year, so we need to manage this big stream of travelers. We also need to make travel more accessible, more easily. So not everybody is that advanced in traveling, so you also need to support people. And by using this service, you can give this additional support to your travelers. Sometimes there are also too many options. So by using the data, imagine Amsterdam, they are working with their Amsterdam card. They already have a lot of data. And by using, for instance, algorithms or artificial intelligence, you can already give people travel IDs or travel suggestions based on what other travelers have done, or attractions they have visitors, combinations of attractions, for instance. On the other side, also people come from all over the world, so they also need some education. For instance, Chinese people who would like to go biking in Amsterdam, you also need to give them with some extra support and services, and this is what you can provide them as well in our travel service. So several services can be implemented, mobility services, attractions and stuff, but also more support on rules and regulations, for instance.
Thank you, Wesley. So now comes a very important question. How do we make money? So our business model is focused on 3 ways. So the first one would be to sell on the app activities. The second one is to do in-app advertising and push notifications. And the third one, of course, because we are talking about transportation and mobility, to have ticketing distribution. How are we going to do that? So it's going to be a lot of work. We plan to work into 3 different steps. So the first one, the most essential one, is to integrate all the mobility options in the app. So when we talk about mobility, it's of course a bus, a tube, boat as well. Step number 2 is to create AI, so artificial intelligence, and ML, which stands for machine learning, so in the platform. And especially, so why are we doing that? It's to personalize travel itineraries and also to integrate activities as well. And finally, the third step would be to monetize and make money based on the 3 ways of the business model, and we're going to use influencer marketing for that. So who are we, the team? So we have different skill sets. So first we have Elizabeth, then Wesley, and then me, Emmanuel. So as you can see, we cover many different expertises, and we have our famous mentors. So we have Sophie, Nico, Alice, and Richard. Yeah, he's just hiding at the back. He's a bit shy. Thank you.
Well done, guys. Very entertaining. Just wondering where my picture is, but not to worry, we can talk about that later. Okay, thanks very much. So we're now on to team 5. You're team 5, right? Let's give them a round of applause. The floor is yours.
Hi everyone. So last but not least. Okay. So yes. Okay, so what is the situation and why overcrowding is an issue and what we can do about it? So the main challenges that we identify around overcrowding is first, the problem is it's about overcrowding, but it's also about how do you manage properly the surpassing carrying capacity of a given destination. So this is the main challenge. And then the problem that we have seen, for example of Paris, but in many other places like London, Madrid, or Barcelona, that people stay in certain specific areas. No? There are high concentration areas where the main activities are. And what happens is that visitors get a very poor experience, because that really means that at the end you are surrounded by people who is not local but rather is visitors. And then you have to waste a lot of time doing the queuing, which really results in a lot of frustration, because you don't really have the impression that you're making the best out of your time. You're really spending a lot of time queuing. You can meet other people in the queue, but that's not really the purpose of the trip. So at the end, you're not interacting with locals, and we have seen more and more how important this is in getting in terms of having experiences. When people travel, is also not about just going to a place and see the Eiffel Tower, but it's also about having the feeling that you have really touched and felt the place. So it's about the authentic experiences. We know how authentic can mean very different things to many people, but authentic is a key word right now. And then what is also represented in terms of environment degradation, and in terms of how important it is to preserve the cultural places and really the areas that are critical for locals, and how much this is an issue right now. So what is that? What are the considerations that we think that we have to put in place or to put in context related to the overcrowding issues that we have seen in the previous slide? What we think is critical is the importance of the collaboration of the different parties, the different stakeholders. And here, I don't want to say the city, but I have been engaging with different interviews with different experts, and sometimes the cities are saying, the problem I have is that I don't control the visitors, I don't control the airports, I don't control the cruises, I don't control rail. So the problem I have is that I cannot control the people who's coming to my city, or the profile of the key people who are coming to the city. So that's why it's increasingly important that public institutions, and when I'm talking about public, I mean local, regional, and state, national institutions, work together in order to understand better who's coming and whether this is the people that you really want to come to your destination. And then obviously this means a lot of sharing information, and not just sitting on data, but really doing something about it and sharing information that is critical in order to segment your travelers and to focus on who are relevant travelers for you. And then also, it's important to put the community at the center. They have to feel comfortable, and they have to play a key role in the decisions that are taken regarding traveler policies or visitors. So they really need to be put in consideration, and we need to understand what do they want, what they need from tourism, what can they offer, and what they are willing to share or not, or to a point they want to get involved. Okay, and now I pass the word to my colleague who's going to talk about the key idea.
Hello. So the idea is back to roots. So it's about connecting consumption in the city, so whatever we consume, products, food, drink, crafts, anything like that that is produced locally, is to create the experience beyond the city, to take people away from the city centres where they actually consume, to experience the roots of that product. So whether that's from the food and drink for the farms, foraged food, to maybe other districts within that city. So quite often in more industrial areas of a city, there might be a shed or a workshop, which an atelier or for fashion, for example, things that you might find on the high street in the city or in the restaurants, the cafes, but you don't actually know where that product has come from, and it could well be something very local that those restaurants and shops are using and selling. So it's linking retail to the makers. So it's taking the visitor from the consumption part to actually understanding and engaging with that, the root of that product, and through an experience. So for example, going to opening up a workshop so that a visitor can engage with that maker in a certain way, and then there's a way for them to buy that product as well. The part of the experience is also that it can be experienced in 3 different ways. So one is to actually go to the atelier, to the workshop, or to the farm in the surrounding regions or destinations, or to go to a restaurant and be immersed in a digital experience. So there are examples of this in Japan, for example, where you have a meal and you are immersed surrounded by the sea around you in a digital virtual experience, 360 experience. Or also, for example, if you were to go to the flower markets in Amsterdam, for example, you would get a VR experience of the farms and taking the growing of the flowers to the city as well. So that it's much more about consumption. It's very much about the seasonality of the products consumed in the city. So it's also thinking about when do people go based on the food that's produced, the food that is grown, and when that is consumed in the city, and when the crafts are made. So essentially we could spread the consumption and these experiences around the year.
So, which is our value proposition? First of all, small businesses that will have more opportunities to sell directly to visitors. We will also take into account the business opportunities for other kind of companies that can reach to new markets, looking for clients, or also finding new suppliers, and moreover also in terms of investments. We will also take into account visitors coming from creative industries that can benefit from inspiration from cultural exchange. This cultural exchange will involve rising cultural awareness, which is really important currently, and this will lead to local communities to feel valued. These local communities will get engaged with the tourism phenomena because they see a direct positive impact. As my colleague Monica mentioned before, we have to take into account, factoring in all key stakeholders. Our key partners will be public sector, both local, regional, national authorities, also the private sector, in all areas, linking consumption to the food and drink producers. We will take into account the small craftsmen and artists, retailers, and of course we will put in the center of our strategy the communities that will benefit both economically and networking.
I'll go very quickly. So in terms of priority audiences or consumers to target, we have 3 personas for example, passion, communities and crafts, local food, local living, authentic experiences, healthy living, well-being. Persona 2, for example, people within the creative industries, artists and people for sharing within business, so entrepreneurs essentially. And persona 3 is entrepreneurs looking for new business, but I think this kind of experience could be a multitude of consumers. We'll move on to the next slide very quickly. Cost in terms of investment, there's not a huge amount of investment. Essentially, there's brand development, if potentially, creating the VR experiences, 360 immersion experiences, a mix of private and public funding, and in terms of the communication strategy, this is the key pillars: sustainable consumption. These would be the messages. Would be sustainable consumption, long-lasting legacy for communities, and cultural exchange. And these would be the channels. Various channels. So, thank you very much, and that's the idea. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much indeed. So, we've had the 5 pitches. We also have the DTT team pitching, but don't worry, their scores won't be counted. This just gives the judges time to deliberate and see who was the strongest pitch here today. So I'm going to hand over to you guys to take us through your concept. Who's doing it? They got very shy with this stuff. And meanwhile, the judges will deliberate and go ahead with the scoring. Thanks a lot, guys.
So basically, we are here to entertain you, not to present you anything. No, we just wanted to introduce to the people that came later what was the challenge about. So we decided to work on overcrowding, because overcrowding is an issue who's, well, I mean, it's existing, and destinations are taking action to solve it. So we basically divided the challenge in different steps. The first one was empathizing, but first we listened to the Paris and Amsterdam case studies to have like concrete examples on how destinations are trying to solve this main issue, and then we invited people to empathize with overcrowding also from a consumer point of view. And then we work on defining what are the strategies that can be used to solve this problem, and then we work on the defining, ideation after defining. So we basically collected and gathered all the ideas, and then the final stage was prototyping. So apart from the pitch, like the actual idea and the actual project that they will could be developed to solve this problem.
So, since everybody was prototyping, we did our own prototype. Oh, again, yeah. So this is us, the team DTTT, and we came up with a design bus experience. So the design bus experience, we went all the way to the back. Oops. Maybe someone can you, because I think it's this one. Thanks. So, yeah. So the design bus experience is actually basically getting a new or an amended bus line that you have in a city, so let's say Paris or Amsterdam, curious, and amended to make it a more attractive bus line for a visitor, but that the local can also use. And this would help to actually spread the tourists away from overcrowded hotspots in the city. It also helped them discover off the beaten track attractions or neighborhoods or places. And it's available, as I said, to locals and visitors. And it promotes sustainable travel because we actually ask the cities to invest in eco-friendly buses. Lucy, thank you. So the objectives of this solution is to mix locals and visitors, to get more sustainable, to encourage mobility of the tourists, and to have a geographical spread of the tourists. And it's based on changing infrastructure and policy in a city. The funding, well, we've heard free solutions. This is not free. It's funded through tax that the city will receive from the subscription that you pay for the other public transports, through sponsorship and advertisement. So on buses you can put advertisement and you would receive money for that, and if necessary from the government, which is already funding the public transport. The key costs, well, the design of bus lines, and of course these bus lines would include landmarks and new places. The hiring of more drivers, and we would encourage these drivers to speak, well, the native language and English and maybe another language to welcome visitors. It would require probably to adapt the roads to welcome the buses, so roadworks if necessary, and investment in eco-friendly buses. So the communication of this solution of the new bus line would be done through the website of the DMO. And there would be an app, so it could be the transport app, which is redesigned to inform the visitors of this new line, where it goes, live update for the time travel, and also what you can do when you're in this area, what's on, when, and Twitter live updates, of course. So, it's not free, it demands a lot of investment, but it is a long-term solution. It's great in terms of also involving the citizens, because they get free transport for some areas. And discussing with the juries, our mentors, we have gone from our idea of offering a free solution right away to developing it in phases. So phase one would be to design one line, see how it goes, make it at an attractive price, include it in a pass, and see what the potential of it is in a known area, and then develop it for other areas as a phase two. Get the data, introduce maybe free weekends or off-peak time where you can use this free line, well, new line, Discovery line. And then phase three would be getting it to almost free, basically just pay for a card that's €1, £1, whatever, to get just a sort of a mobile, yeah, in Belgium we call it mobile card, that you just tap to get on the bus, and so you still get the data of the visitors. And voila, here it is.
Okay, right, we have to move very fast. The judges have been deliberating. So can we invite all the teams to come up? Okay, and we have chosen a winner. So we will let you know which team has won. We've been doing a very detailed scoring here. Oops, we've lost that. So if you all want to come on the stage. We are very happy to announce the winner. Well, I guess I'm a head judge, but by default. So perhaps one of the team want to announce the winner. Shall we say, okay. So we have decided that the strongest pitch of today is, we don't have the music, Team 4. So Team 4, come forward. Well done, guys. You all gave, here we go. I need someone to write this check for you. Oh, I'm going to do that while the judges explain the decision for their answer, for their choice. It's very detailed scoring, and the scores match up with our sentiments, so we're very happy with that. We thought it was an excellent solution. Nico has to run and catch a train, so I'll let you say a few words and run.
Okay, first of all, of course, the pitch was great, it was superb, very tangible product, I think. You were able to show us what it can mean to start with transport, from a transport point of view, and from then build it up to fun things to do, etc. So that was very tangible, I think, and it was really something that we were interested to work more on together. So, thanks.
Congratulations to all of you. All the pitches were really interesting, so thank you. It was really a nice moment. And congratulations to you, the winners. We Paris were really interested because I think we're working on similar skills, and you developed a concept, a real concept, a tangible concept that could be useful for us, so keep going.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your solutions. That one was very tangible solutions indeed, and what we found interesting was that you use real-time intelligence data to push ideas of places. So people who are going in other areas are encouraged to go to some other places in this area, restaurants, museums and stuff. So they basically spend more time in this area and discover other places that they would not have thought about going to. So that was really a good idea to use data and intelligence and things like that.
The travel planner is the best idea.
Well done, thank you guys. Yeah, there is your check. I will let you hold it. Thank you very much. Really great concept, and as the others said, we really thought this could be put into place. We thought it could be adapted. We thought it could be interpreted to work with the different cities. So maybe I'll just let you guys say a couple of words about how today was for you as an experience.
Wonderful experience. We learned a lot from our fellow competitors because we had a lot of different ideas coming up, and it was a pleasure to see all the different ideas and how this really affects not only Europe but really globally, and how it's so important to really look at overcrowding as a concept.
Yeah, and I think it was very important to have your advice as well, because we started with something very broad about travel, and understanding the challenges you have directly from a city perspective was very helpful. So thank you as well for all your tips and sharing all this information.
I fully agree with that. Each time prototyping, testing, prototyping again, changing it, that really helped us in our process. And yeah, to do more with the data, we are really curious how you will follow up on that. So yeah, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, and a big round of applause to everybody else. You guys did such a great job. We were really impressed with all of the pictures. Nico, thank you very much. High five, get that train, do not miss it. Thank you to all of our judges. That was really, really fantastic to have this challenge. It's the first of many, so we will be following this up next year with another challenge. And thank you all for joining. Have a nice, very, very end of WTM.